Yeah, I'm feeling very, I don't want to say uneasy, but nervous because this has very much been your video and I don't really know much of what we're talking about. I kind of know a concept, but that's it. This is
what?
I've like been, like you've like taken the...
Someone's got to take initiative.
I love that your notes though are on the back of this ridiculously long CVS receipt. This is for 3 items. 3 items.
Yeah. But look at all the money they gave you. They gave you $2 off here, 3 here, 3 here, 3 here, 6. Ooh, $6 off L'Oreal Paris.
Yeah, $2 off Huggies because you know we're really in the market for Huggies right now.
They're just trying to get you. But listen, sometimes this came in handy because I was sitting in the car and my mind was going and going and going, so I just started taking notes and this is what I had.
Yeah,
so it worked.
Okay.
Reuse.
You don't need to buy
resources.
You don't need to buy a notepad. You can just go to CVS and buy a pack of gum.
Well, I got that too. But what my wheels were turning about was the other day I was reading famous quotes, and one of the quotes was from Theodore Roosevelt, and it is, "Comparison is the thief of joy." And first I thought that would make a really great song. Mm-hmm. But then throughout the day I just kept coming back to it, and I just kept thinking about it, kept thinking about it. And so I thought that this would be a good thing for us to talk about, because there was a lot of things that came up in my mind that I realized I had been doing, and I feel like it has contributed to, I don't know, what's a fancy way to say, like diminishing my self-esteem, because I'm comparing myself to others in very subtle ways, in ways that you wouldn't even think was really comparing. But I think that once I started digging in, I felt that this was a worthy topic to talk about, so now we're here talking about it. So often of the times we do these videos and it's a point that we're really passionate about. It's like, let's talk about this, like let's open up this conversation. We just end up rambling for hours.
I know.
And by we, I mean you.
How dare you.
But today if you can tell, he's keeping it all in his cheeks. So he's not going to talk as much today.
I'm trying to practice restraint. But again, I don't know what any. I haven't read these notes. I have no idea. So
plenty of things to do.
I'm sure I will, and you'll be editing this video later. So frustrated because I'm rambling just like I'm doing right now.
Split screen and just push it out.
Yeah.
All right. So what were comparisons, right? So one thing that I find myself doing a lot when I'm comparing myself to others is when I'm on social media and I'll be just scrolling, you know, like you're dead behind the eyes scrolling for God knows how long. You don't even realize you're doing it. And by the end of my time on social media, I realize that I've compared myself to, you know, somebody who has the new Dodge 2500, you know, diesel engine truck that I want, or, you know, like, why don't I have that? Why can't I have that? There's one guy in particular on Instagram that we look alike. He's in much better shape. His nose isn't as big, but we look exactly alike. It trips me out. Like, people will send it to me.
Do you follow this person?
I don't. In fact, Wujek always sends them to me. Because this guy will post. I don't even know what his name is.
I think I know who you're talking about.
He's like a model in Israel or something. Is that cat messing with your papers again?
This cat has got to move.
Where's that water bottle? Shake it.
No. You're sending me.
That's all you have to do is shake the water bottle and it's away.
He's so cute. I want to engage with him, but he's so distracting.
Anyways, so I look at that guy and my nose, like my big nose, my whole life, big nose, big nose, big nose. And so I compare myself to that guy, like, well, you know, he's better looking because he doesn't have the big nose, but we look alike. Otherwise, you know what I mean? You get down that wormhole of just constantly comparing, you know. I'll see somebody that I used to work with and they have a certain level of success that, you know, I reached, during my time in music, and now they're, now they've reached that point, and then, oh my gosh, I should have done this, they did this, but I think in the moment you don't really realize that you're doing it. And I think over time that starts to wear on your self-esteem, your self-worth, and just kind of, it sets you back.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Nothing to say.
I do, actually. Well, no, I just think...
This is your opportunity.
Okay, I think on the topic of social media, I think that's very common, and I feel like probably 90% of people that have an Instagram or a Twitter or Facebook would all say that they can relate to feeling that way.
I think only 90?
Probably 100%.
I would say everybody.
Yeah, and it's interesting on that fact is was it yesterday or the day before yesterday? I don't know. I was going through my Instagram, the people I follow on Instagram, and I was trying to I was being a little ruthless with editing out all the people I was following because I found myself doing that a lot, and there were a lot of people that I was following that I would do that. I was like, oh, they're in such great shape, or look, they're going on these trips, or they're doing, all these things. And I was like, but why am I following these people that might be influencers, or I don't know, just social media people that blast that out? And I've been trying to get better about only following people that either are friends and family, or are people that I find really inspirational, or that are creative accounts. So I follow a lot of art museums, or artists, visual artists, or cinema accounts, and trying to find things that inspire or motivate me rather than make me compare myself to them and feel bad about myself. But even that's hard to do, because then, but like you said, there are those people that are your friends, and you're I don't want to not be friends with this person or not follow this person because I compare myself to them, and it is kind of a tricky situation because you can't necessarily just unfollow everybody. But social media obviously is I think a huge, probably the biggest drive in that for most of us.
Of course, I think that without social media, I don't think it would be as present on my mind. I think I would have read that quote and been oh yeah, and moved on. But that quote really stuck with me because it is something that I do every day. And I think that social media is one thing, but in particular, Reels on Instagram, I find because it's just it's a sewer of just stuff that you go through for hours, and it's all new, and it's nobody that you know. It's just stuff that they feed you, and some of them, I like to go on there because I like people falling through trampolines, and slipping in the mud, and they all laugh for hours about those types of videos, but
fail videos.
But and social media aside, I think that another thing that I realized when digging through this was being a same-sex couple. I think that, I don't know if it's true for everyone, but I think for me in our situation, I think that there's so many similarities between us. Even though we are so very different, it sounds stupid, but we're the same height. We were the same weight. We were the same size, but we shared a lot of clothes. There's one point that I actually had to get mad at you for wearing my underwear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there was a lack of separation of personal identity, and it came from a good place because we loved each other, and blah, 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 and we just kind of started to mesh, and we've kind of outgrown that. We've reestablished our who we are. But I think that in our relationship too, I think there's a lot of comparison that I think that can be negative. I feel like I can't think of a positive comparison that you would make to your significant other that would be healthy for your relationship.
Well, how so? What do you what kind of comparisons? Being in shape, or
I think being in shape.
Habits,
I think that coming out of my my slump, the just feeling of like, oh, what's going on in life, the pandemic, all that, really getting behind in my health and my fitness. I think seeing you being able to eat anything that you want to and just be able to, stay shredded, I think in a way, but I think more than that, I think is the overall success of who you are as a creative person, who I was as a creative person, just feeling blocked, feeling uninspired, feeling just in this hole of not even being able to write, but that kind of leads me into the next part, which is, like how do you stop comparing yourself, and how do you use somebody else's success and what you see that they're presenting to you on social media, whatever it may be. It might not even be success. It could just be all facade because of social media. But how do you use that to motivate you? And I think that's where I'm focused now, is trying to, when I see something that, and I think that you're actually really good about this, when you see something that you find attractive, whether it's, something like an account that you find that's an artist, what was the other examples that you gave?
An artist, or just like visual artist, or cinema accounts, like about films.
Trying to use that as motivation, trying to let that inspire you versus allow that to make you feel like you're behind. Because we're all on our own journey, we're all on our own path. I mean, even you and I, 90% of what we do is together, but we're still very much on our separate paths, and nobody is on the same path. I don't think anybody in life is on the same path. So that's something I've been trying to remind myself of, is, stay focused. You're on your own path. What motivates me? What do I need to get by? Is it going to the gym? Is it listening to music? Is it watching live performances? Is it going for a walk? Is it playing with my cat? Is it playing guitar with my son? What is it?
Yeah, I think that, a lot of what you're saying is kind of like some of the thoughts that I was having earlier as well, is that you can't, it's like something that we know, but it's like, do we really know it? It's like when you talk about everybody being on their own path or their own journey. And I think that it's important to remember that, you're looking at somebody else's successes, but at the same time, you're not necessarily taking account for your successes. It's easy to push aside your successes and focus on your shortcomings. So, for example, you might look at somebody whose career might be flourishing and thriving, and think like, God, if I hadn't changed careers, or if I hadn't made this choice or this move, I could have that, I could be successful in that way that person is, and be on these world trips around the world 5 times a year. But you forget to do sometimes, to step back and look at, and that person is probably looking at your account and saying look at this beautiful family that he's built, and they have 2 children that are now 9 years old, and a beautiful home with their dog and their cat, and there's this whole beautiful life that they built, and they're maybe feeling like, God, if only I had not focused so much on work, I could have built that beautiful family in this time. And of course there's those obnoxious people that somehow did all of it and made it all happen simultaneously and seem to have it all, but but you know what I mean? So I think it's important that you step back and recognize your successes in your journey as well. Are you placating me right now? No. Good chat. What's next on my list?
It's a long list. Well, you said something about, I have notes here, about focusing on, well, you do have, focusing on your achievements. And one of the, I think I said this in the beginning, but I really dove deep into this. I was at school pickup, watching videos, reading this woman in Australia. She wrote this whole blog about, comparing yourselves. Wherever the internet took me, I ran. But one thing that I feel like is going to be useful to me, and I haven't had much time to put this into action, but is focusing on my achievements. I left my executive career in 2013, and during my time in that industry, like, I did really incredible things, and it's because of those really incredible things that I was even able to invest in any kind of real estate in the very beginning. Like, when we bought our first house, it was because of that job. And you're realizing that even though it's not an achievement that I made yesterday or even this year or, you know, in the last 5 years, it's still an achievement that I've made in my life that has gotten me this far. And so what I'm trying to do now is set goals. You know, I have one very big goal, and I'm working on that every day, but I'm also trying to focus on the achievements that I do make every day, even if it's small. Like, even if I go through the day and I'm like, I got the dog groomed, I cleaned the cat box, I made the kids a snack. Like, I did all these chores, all these just daily things that you have to do. I did them all. I achieved something. You know, those are things to feel good about. Those are things that aren't going to trickle over to the next day and just burden my load even heavier, and just like the weight on your shoulders more and more and more, because sometimes you get so many things on your plate that it just feels like you can't do anything. And then you get on that social media and you look at what everyone else is doing, traveling around the world, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't even vacuum my house. How am I supposed to go to Europe and backpack Europe? Or
right.
What are ways that you compare yourself to others? Or do you even?
Yeah, of course. Well, especially actors, you know, other actors, and getting to this stage, like being this age now, like having turned 40. And I see a lot of actors that I remember being like on the circuit with, or just like being in audition rooms with, or just seeing around town, because we were like all auditioning for the same things. And now I see them and they've built careers that are a little bit fuller, and they're, you know, on this show or that show or in that movie, and it's like, and I have that same thing, and I'm like, oh God, like that's where I'm supposed to be. And I start to like go into this tailspin, whatever, of where I should be as an actor. But then I have to stop and remind myself, like, oh yeah, like I took the past 5 years to go focus on building a family, and we built this whole lifestyle, from when we lived in Colorado to when we lived in Arizona to living in the way with the animals and like becoming a part of the land. And I know that has made me a better actor, artist, storyteller. And so I try to remind myself that even though I may not be like on that series today or in that movie that's nominated for an Oscar, like all of the stuff that I filled my bag with, my toolbox with, is going to lead me to great and exciting new places. If that makes sense. But I say all that like as if I've like come to great peace with it, but it is something that I struggle and grapple with every single day.
Yeah, I think being aware of it and putting steps into motion and having a path forward, I think is what you're going to do your entire life. Like, you're never going to be, there's always going to be somebody on top of you. In the sense of achieving things. Like, you're never, like, the chances of you becoming, you know, the Mariah Carey of Christmas songs is, like, what are the chances of that? But you're always going to have somebody that you know, think, oh my gosh.
That you look to, that
you gotta like worry about you, and you gotta move forward.
The reminder of like, this is just my journey.
It's your journey.
And then we are all growing and evolving, and like change is inevitable. And when you stop changing or growing, you die. And that's just how it is. So it doesn't matter, like where we are today doesn't mean like where we were yesterday is different from where we are today, is different from where we're going to be tomorrow. And it's all about just continuing to put in that effort to evolve.
It's interesting when you stop, what'd you say, when you stop changing, you stop growing, you die?
Yeah.
I mean, I really did feel like that for a long period of time over the last few years. I mean, not actually dead, but I just felt like dead inside, dead of inspiration, dead of motivation, dead of what, like I get it. I love my kids, I love my husband. We have, a very nice, privileged life, quite honestly, but just why? Why? Like, what am I here for? That's really what it felt like, and I feel like so much of it was just, I mean, I think it was part comparison, but I think it's also, I just like being motivated, I guess.
This conversation about comparison has like kind of sidelined to, I guess also, but I guess it's all part of a bigger conversation.
But that's what I feel. But that's how I feel about the whole comparison thing. Is what my mind keeps spinning about it, because I feel like comparison is right here in the middle, and there's all these different things that are stemmed from it. It's like a therapy session that nobody talks back to you.
I know, right?
I want to share one more thing we kind of touched on it. I want to take it back to focusing on your accomplishments and your achievements, because one of the things I've decided to do is every night before I go to bed, I say to myself, I go over my day and I'm aware of what did I achieve today, like how did I move myself forward, and some days it is just like I did my chores and I did this and that and that's it, but other days I get a good solid day of, I don't know, editing or picking up the guitar or I guess those are the two things like setting up the greenhouse, like things that enrich our life, but also it's a balance of different things that allows me to feel that I've done something with my life, and that I don't need to look at somebody else's life and be envious and jealous of them and compare myself to them. I'm content with what I have. I'm happy with what I have and what I'm working for. And though there's so much more that I want to achieve, right now I'm just focusing on what did I achieve that day.
I like that. I feel like I should do that as well.
It doesn't take much time.
Just know we're all in it with you, and we feel it too. We're all just trying to like take the little steps, right? We're all doing the best we can, and you guys you're beautiful. I want you to know you're beautiful, and you are on your own journey, and we love you and support you, and you got this. Yeah.
Words can't bring you down.
Words can't bring you down.